there are so many factors. Like yoga will say, okay, your diet. What is the mental state in which you're eating your food? Are you doing the breathing just before eating? So there are so many things that take into consideration which a study cannot. When practiced correctly, we know that yoga and Ayurveda have been around for more than 5,000 years. What clinical trial or study has been that long with such a large, diverse population? You want to consume less energy and get more output. So if you take rapid, slow, shallow breaths, you're expending more energy and receiving lesser.
Did you know that just 10 minutes of meditation can improve stress and anxiety? In today's fast-paced world, finding calm has become a necessity. Today we're going to explore the roots and benefits of yoga with Mirabelle D'Cunha, who's an expert in the field of mindfulness and meditation. I'm your host, Prana Sharma. If you like this episode, you know what to do. Welcome, Mirabelle. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Prerna. And I'm sorry my last name is such a tongue twister.
No, it's kind of like my first name, so you're good. All right, so let's get to the basics. What is yoga really? Because these days, yoga is basically a means of exercise or, just another means to go out and stretch your muscles. But where do the roots come from? And what does it mean?
Yeah, that's a really important question to address. So thank you for asking that. Because we can talk about, like as a doctor, you might talk about, having a healthy diet, but what it means to you is different from what it means to somebody else. So for somebody else who's eating fries every day, eating less of fries or, might be healthy, but it isn't necessarily it's contextual, right?
Right.
And so in terms of the origins of yoga, as a discipline, yoga originated in the Indian subcontinent more than 5,000 years ago. What yoga really isn't this cultural download that the yogis had. It's just that people in a certain geographical area were able to access states of consciousness that now, in modern science, we're calling the hard problem of consciousness and quantum physics and things like that. So they were able to access consciousness that gave them clarity for how things work and the interconnectedness of everything, so that we are able to find harmony within ourselves. Because, if you look at it very simply, let's look at stress, right? We can have the physiological explanation of stress, the HPA axis, fight, flight, freeze, all of those things. But at a very basic level, which is things that yogis said thousands of years ago, stress is a kind of a discomfort, right? It is a disconnection. It is a symptom of disconnection. Disconnection from what? It can be disconnection from nature's rhythms. So if you're not aligning with circadian rhythms, the body is going to experience some kind of physiological stress, right? It can be disconnection from a person that you care for or someone you work with. It doesn't matter. A disconnection in a relationship, a lack of clarity. And it can be a disconnection with yourself. When we go through doubt, we go through loss of confidence, all of these things that are very human. And ultimately, disconnection with source, right? With the source that is creating, sustaining, and constantly keeping in flux all that we experience and know as our reality. And so yoga gives us the tools to have context for life that is exclusive of, particular beliefs. So whether all the tools of yoga, it doesn't matter what religion you practice or if you're atheist, agnostic, yoga has tools that will help you connect more deeply with yourself and discover who you are so that you can experience, which is what the work that I do, clarity, vitality, and contentment, which is something all of us want. It's very systematic and scientific. it's not just doing asana on the mat. Yoga is based on the science of respecting people's autonomy. So the answers are within you, and the tools help you unlock the power to action what will benefit you, as opposed to, I will fix you. Yoga is not, I will fix you. It says, nothing's actually wrong. You're just a little disconnected. Let's pragmatically go through from gross to subtle. So you go through body. For example, we all hear this word hangry, right? If you haven't eaten and you're hangry, right? And so we have to look at the body, right? Have I eaten well? Do I eat on time? Do I eat before sunset? Or maybe I didn't sleep well, and then the ghrelin leptin cycle got messed up, and then, then I'm just I'm irritable the next day, and, all of these things. And if I don't understand that, I will think that, it's my problem. Like, I should not be hungry. We don't understand the science. We are out of alignment, which is why that symptom is present. And I could take a medication to feel calm. I could even do a meditation to feel calmer, but I'm not necessarily, if I don't change my lifestyle, I'm not taking care of the deeper cause. So teaching people what those first principles of existence are, and then the tools to align with them, empowers them in their life, so that you take meditation or medication, whichever, as a complement when it's needed, not as a primary, primary thing that I have this, I'm going to take this and it's going to fix it. Because then you give your power away, right? So I feel really called to emphasize this aspect of yoga, which respects and empowers the autonomy of each individual person. And then just to complete what I was saying, so you go through the body first, right? So you have the asana. Why? Because when we're restless, from fight or flight, all the sensations,
Adrenaline,
you want to move to the external or limbs, right? So instead of doing something like twiddling with my phone, I can do mudras, right? You just look at it. It's just so beautiful how they tapped in. You can finger breathe. Right? If you're listening to this and not watching, do watch the video. And I can learn to start developing my sense of interoception, so that I can notice what feedback my body is giving me. And I do that through the body, because the body is the most tangible thing. People will disagree on philosophy and belief, but they cannot disagree that we live in this body. Right. And so you start with the gross, you take care of the body, you stabilize it, you make sure it functions smoothly in terms of, like, for example, when you have stress, you're like, oh, like this, like you feel it in the physical body, right? And so then when you do the asana, it activates marma points, which are energy meridians or energy points, which similar to acupuncture, which then release the neurochemical sort of coagulation that is stuck in that place, leading you to feel better. So you work on the physical level, but you have to start going deeper. So then there's the pranayam, there's the dharana, the concentration, then there's the meditation, and then, so it's very systematic, going from very gross to subtle.
Okay, got it. A couple of things that I found very interesting from what you just said. One is that it's not based on religion, right? Even though it originates from India, and we'll see all our, like growing up, I would see a lot of our gods or, gurus or, saints doing these yoga asanas or asanas. It's not really based on religion. Like, it's not a religious practice. It's just kind of a way of living, moreover, rather than an exercise form, right? It's like a overall way of living, physical, mental, emotional, all together. So that's very interesting to me. The other thing is about the mudras that you said. So mudras, if you had to translate it for our audience, it's just something you do with your hands, is that it? Or is it like a full body pose or a posture?
Yeah, so mudra means a seal, right? Like a seal, a stamp, something that seals something is a mudra.
Okay.
And, I'll give you a very simple example that, as women, you might have to do Kegels, right? So you're contracting the sphincter muscle.
Right.
Now that's called yoni mudra. in yoga.
Okay.
So when you activate something
Right.
for the purpose of creating pressure or stimulation or releasing pressure, or and I'm speaking at a very gross level at this point. Obviously, there are subtler levels of it. That would be a
A
mudra,
mantra.
right?
Okay.
So there's a symbolic meaning and then there is an energetic meaning.
Okay. And then what you did there was, you said finger breathing. Is that what you
Mm-hmm.
said? Okay,
Yeah.
so you basically took your thumb and you slid it over your index finger and basically going up and down the finger, which again ties me back to I had somebody on recently who talks about body language, and we were talking about self-soothing techniques and how people who are constantly fidgeting with their rings or fidgeting with their fingers or doing something are trying to self-soothe. So basically, people do these things without knowing what it is actually doing and where the roots lie. But it's in yoga, basically, we've known that these are self-soothing techniques if you're stressed or anxious,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Like I said, yoga didn't discover, it didn't create anything. It only speaks about eternal principles, right? They were there, they are there, and they will always be there. The nervous
Right.
system was always there. In the past, the stress response was to a tiger. Today, it's to an email. Tomorrow, it'll be to AI or being in
Robot.
Mars or something. Who knows? But the basic physiology, of course, there are adaptations that happen over time, but the basic physiology is the same.
Right.
So it's nothing new under the sun because there isn't really anything new. We just discover what always was. And that's what the yogis have done, you know? And just to speak briefly, because I know that some people feel very strongly about the religious aspects and things like that. Uh, when I say this about yoga, I mean at the highest level, it is union and recognizing that I am consciousness. And then there are consciousness takes form in many different ways because it is energy, and energy, even at the bottom of matter, is all energy, right? So form can be a good portal into the lack of form or into consciousness. And so the idols or the deities, whether it's you look at Greek mythology, the Greek gods, or you look at Mayans, or you look at Hindus, or anything, you will find that this iconography is present because it helps us to remember what is important to us. It's very hard to meditate on abstract things. And so therefore there's a form. So, like why does a breathing app have a breathing ball? You could just imagine a ball, now. Why do we have that?
Right.
Because the form facilitates a process. The form is just there to um, you know, to sort of add a ritual aspect because then you don't forget, right? Just like
Right. So
you
you can relate with your different side of your brain that will remember that memory or that structure or that
yeah, like,
form,
say people do a vision board or something. They make
Mhm.
an affirmation. Why do you have an affirmation? To remind you of something that is important to you. So that's a non-verbal, right? Or someone will write an affirmation. So someone has an idol. It represents all those deities and forms represent certain inherent qualities within us that we focus on at an external level so that we start to focus on them internally.
Yeah.
Because wherever our attention goes, energy flows there.
Mm.
So the highest principle is that of consciousness. And then there are many different ways, right? And I think it's important to talk about this because yoga is not a singular thing. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to look like asana. It doesn't have to look in a certain way. So it's
Yeah.
important, I think, to recognize that.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up.
Of course. Yeah. That's a great way to think about is no matter what religion it is, or even if you're not religious, it's just something, some object or idol that you focus on that helps you focus inward more. Okay. So as you just said, right, yoga's been there for thousands of years. When did modern science start focusing on it? When did people start doing research on yoga and asanas and meditation?
Um, in the West, definitely in the last decade, there's been a lot of research. In India, there has been research for a long time. There's, people like Dr. Shirley Tellis who have been studying and researching yoga for years. in the Patanjali Institute and doing studies on various interventions and collecting data and, all of that. So research is a very sort of tricky topic, because we have to ask here. And again, I got all of this from the doctors, surprisingly, that I studied with, that were questioning their own, what they had learned in their own medical conditioning. When practiced correctly, we know that yoga and Ayurveda have been around for more than 5,000 years.
Mhm.
What clinical trial or study has been that long with such a large, diverse population?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it good that we have this research happening? Absolutely. But it is still, like in terms of the data collected, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Compared to how many years it's been around.
It's been
Yeah.
around, and people who actually practice it correctly have the benefits of it, right? Like, you grew up in India too, so you just knew it. People were doing, those uncles and aunties doing pranayama early in the morning
Yeah.
in the garden. You didn't overthink
You
it.
didn't question that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think the research is good, but it's also, it's fragmented, right? Because you're taking one part in isolation and researching only that. The effect of this particular breathing practice on HRV, for example. But there are so many factors. Like yoga will say, okay, your diet. What is the mental state in which you're eating your food? Are you doing the breathing just before eating? That will inform your digestion. So there are so many things to take into consideration which a study cannot.
Mhm.
It will only look at
Right.
this
It's
breathing
impossible to
on this
tell.
population over this time,
Yep.
and whatever it is. And then the other thing with studies is, most of the studies around pharmaceuticals or drugs, or they are funded by
You're sponsored, right? Big
right.
companies, big pharma, yeah.
If people don't understand this view that something's been around for this long, then sometimes we have to step down to the level of uh, okay, you want to study, okay, let's do it and give you some data, because it'll benefit you, not because we need to be convinced that it works,
Right. That
right?
makes
So
sense.
yeah.
How is it different from other forms of exercise?
Hmm. I
I
mean,
know
like,
it's not an exercise, it's more of
yeah,
a way of living, as we
yeah,
talked about. Like it's a more overall comprehensive approach to how you live your life.
yeah,
So I don't
just
think
the
the
exercise app.
comparison even makes sense, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I can speak a little bit to that. So, most exercise is based on speeding up your heart rate. Yoga actually, except for certain breathing practices, and again, I'm diluting by saying breathing practices, you're meant to take the stress on your body, but slow your breathing down. So
Okay.
we are not looking at increasing the heart rate at all. We are looking at doing things like what they would say we do crow pose, or we do dolphins or headstand, or things that would be considered maybe, or Paschimottanasana, Purvottanasana, they be considered like modern day strength training.
Hmm.
Uh, but we will do it with a very slow respiratory rate. That is the key. My gurus always said, yeah, anybody can stand on their head and do all of these things. So what? It's no difference from being in the circus. If you're doing yoga, I need to see that you're breathing super slow. And, there's a thing in the Yoga Sutras, it says, Thiram Sukham Asanam. So the definition for something to be called an asan is that it should be sthira, like steady. It should be sukham, like you should be experiencing contentment. So if you're doing headstand and you're like, I need to stay in this
Yeah.
headstand for 10 minutes, I need to
Stressed out.
prove that
Yeah.
I can do a headstand,
Yeah.
whatever, like you lost the point. Like you just totally
Yeah.
stressed yourself out.
Yeah.
So, but it is going into that headstand, being scared that you're going to fall, noticing the nervous system go into fight flight, and using the breathing despite that to calm the system. So you activate your vagal tone while you go into something that you may be afraid of in the mind. It's evolutionary. It's an evolutionary practice, right? The survival practices, I'm going to headstand. I might fall. I might injure myself. I'm not going to do this, but I want to do it because it looks cool and I want to feel it. And, all that dialogue.
Hmm.
And then you observe that and just slow the breathing down. So there's a preparation before you go. And you
Right.
go systematically step by step, because that means you have core strength. You can kick up into a headstand, not so hard, but try going super slow. That's where your real strength is,
That's
right?
very interesting because I see a lot of people do these things, but I don't think they do it in a way to slow their heart rate. It's always very strenuous on their body.
Yeah. Yeah, we seem to like self-punishment a lot. Like we
Yeah.
sometimes think, like exercise, only if I'm like having a beastly workout, then I must be really working out or.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's funny
yeah.
you said that. I remember I went to do hot yoga once with a friend, and I did not know it was hot yoga actually. It was just supposed to be yoga, and I don't practice as much, but I was like, yeah, I've done yoga, and how, growing up in school, we did yoga. My aunts and uncles back home do yoga. It should be fine. I'm sure I'm going to know everything. I was the only Indian person there, and literally people were doing headstands and so many strenuous exercises, and I was just huffing and puffing and panting, and I left midway because I was like, I can't. I'm going to pass out if I do this any longer. But the point is that to me, what I remember from yoga was more of like sitting and doing this thing and meditating and doing some different asanas. I did not, maybe it was not, as much back then when I grew up. But yeah, it was very interesting because I thought I went into it thinking, oh, I'm Indian. I'm sure I'm going to know yoga, but I was the worst. And I came out feeling, what am I doing? How is everybody else doing better yoga than I am?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's funny, when I went to the US years ago, when I first went to study, people kept asking me if I was having a culture shock. The internet had just about come out at that time, right? And I say to people, the first time I actually had culture shock was when I went to a yoga class, because I did not recognize it at all. I was like, what is
Yeah.
this? So that was my real culture shock, going
Right.
to a yoga class outside of, in the States.
Yeah. So, okay, coming back to how we practice it, and no matter how strenuous the asana is, it's important to focus on your breathing so we can keep our heart rate down. That's the key. That's the important part, right?
Yeah, because you're challenging yourself, right? The physical asanas are challenging. So it's a metaphor for life. Life is challenging. Are you going to go with the rush, or are you going to be able to hold your pace?
Mm.
Right? At a philosophical level, at a very physical level, um, you know, you want to consume less energy and get more output. So if you take rapid, slow, shallow breaths, you're expending more energy and receiving lesser. And you can probably speak to this much more as a pulmonologist, right? But um, so the idea is that you go through the challenge, in this case, the physical stress, but it's also mental, right? Because you're going through all that,
Yeah,
like,
you're
can
stressed
I
out.
really
I'm
fall
gonna
this,
fall.
that,
Yeah.
that person is so much better than me. Everything shows up in on the yoga mat.
Mhm.
And so you use that because you're going slow. You have the opportunity to stop and have awareness about it, which you wouldn't if you were doing it fast, 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 just like,
Yeah,
just to get something in
that
and
makes sense.
out. So in yoga, it's a work in and a workout, because you are activating that vagal nerve. You are also activating, you kind of balancing your nervous system, right? Because if you
Mhm.
go too vagal, then you will fall asleep. So you don't want to do that. So it's a fine tuning practice where
That's
you
very
refine your internal experience, and externally you look great as well.
right.
Right?
Yeah, but also what's interesting, the metaphor or the analogy you made to life, and how that would help in a normal day-to-day scenario would be if you're stressed out, it shows up as a body response, right? The adrenaline rush, just feeling uncomfortable in your body. Stress will cause that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
at that time, being able to calm yourself down and focus on your breathing and decrease your heart rate, that's is so important. And if you master that by doing yoga, you can actually use it in your daily life for however long if you want to, and not get that affected in a stressful situation, because nobody can avoid a stressful situation. It's
Yeah,
just how you deal
absolutely.
with it.
Yeah, it's like, am I developing any skills? So I do a lot
Right.
of corporate work, and I ask them, how do you take your nervous system to the gym every day?
Mhm.
Like, are you doing any breathing practices, or you go to the gym, fine. So you will get returns on whatever you invest in. So you've invested in your professional degree, you've invested in your gym membership. How have you invested in like really learning the physiology of stress and how to shift it? And there are specific techniques, you know. Um, it's an important question to ask ourselves because breathing is free.
But we don't practice it or use it as we should, right? I don't do that at all, which I should. I've been told multiple times by multiple people in my family growing up that you should do yoga. It's, it's going to help you with memory, especially when I started med school. My uncles and aunts who did it and practiced it um, would say, this is going to help you. And I would always say, where's the science behind it? What do you mean? I don't think it's going to, how do you know if it's going to help me? That's just as a young physician, young scientist, that's how you're sort of molded or taught how to think, which is good. You always want to ask for roots and reasons and the whys in life. But I never really believed that it would lead to any kind of real change until one, I grew up and got more mature and saw the world. And two, obviously there's more data, more science and research coming up as well. And now it's so widely accepted.
Yeah.
And to see that as well is a big, huge thing. Do you know any like specific benefits of yoga that people have researched on or studied?
So there's everything from the effects on premenstrual symptoms to memory to managing post-traumatic stress. There's studies on anything. You just go to PubMed and do PubMed yoga. Just do yoga, and you just get endless pages of research on sleep, the effect of yoga on insomnia, depression, sleep, all of these things. Like everything
Anxiety.
is researched. One of my areas of specialization is in the breathing aspect, so it's quite interesting that you reached out to me. And there's a lot of research that particularly, so I hosted the world's first breathing and pranayam summit back around COVID time. And so I had yogis and gurus and scientists all on the same platform, which had never happened before. And so I had, for example, Dr. Sundar Balasubramaniam, who's in the US, and he had been studying the effect of a certain pranayam, on salivary immunoproteins. And so his research is really incredible. They had a control group where people were just doing, they could be aware of their breath. Like that was all they were told. You can be aware of your breath. And then they had the group that was doing the pranayam, and then they did pre and post studies of the salivary protein. And the results were absolutely astounding. Even if you look at breathing, for instance, all these modern day now, every neuroscientist is talking about breathing.
Right.
Every sports coach is talking about breathing. Like
exactly.
When I did this summit, like very few people were talking about it. So suddenly it's like a boom, and I definitely know it's going to be a big boom and a big business in the next 10 years for sure. But they're looking at it in isolation. It's fragmented. So for instance, you're doing the breathing practice to, they'll say now do right nostril breathing if you want to activate your sympathetic nervous system. Okay, but are you breathing properly in the first place? What is your tongue position? What is your posture? Are you diaphragmatically breathing? Do you know what that means? Do you know how that looks? Do you know how it should feel? That's basic.
You really need a coach, not a coach, a teacher.
You need someone who can mentor you. Exactly. Because you're Indian, I'll say this to you. So, all the aunties would be like, so, beta, what do you do? So I said, I teach people to breathe, the pranayam. Oh, I do that all the time. So people pay you for this. So I said, yes, and a lot of money. So, for example, in yoga.
Aunties will be the aunties. You can't do nothing about that. So we were talking about research and meditation and how everyone's talking about breathing techniques. Everyone's talking about neuroscience as well. So when it comes to neuroplasticity and changing how somebody thinks or, basically controlling our brains more in one way or the other, has yoga shown to have any benefits with that?
Yeah, absolutely. The way that I learned yoga was as an epigenetic practice. Because you believe you are something. And then practice makes you see that you are not what you thought you were, right? So now suppose you are looking at a drop of water to figure out what it is. Like what's there to a drop of water? From the outside, with the naked eye, you just see a drop of water. Now, if I ask you what is the quality, the inherent quality you would associate with water, you might say that it's liquid, right? In essence, that's the quality of water, it's liquid. But when you look at it under the microscope, under such magnification, it does not look liquid. You can see solid looking components in it.
Right,
Right?
of course. Yeah.
And so your experience shifts because of the lens that you use. Right? So when we talk about yoga helps us to keep refining and widening that lens. Right? Now, if you look at genetics and epigenetics, genetics is like, I'm just a drop of water. I'm this. I can't be anything else. Epigenetics is saying, no, you're the culture you're in, right? The conditioning, the
Environment,
environment,
influences. Yeah.
that will determine the expression of the genes. So you can change your environment, whether that's internally or externally, your microbiota or your the environment you live in, the people you're with, both of which are correlated, of course, to change the expression of your genes. And then that's where neuroplasticity as well comes in, right? Because it's not deterministic. It's saying we can keep changing. There is no age to it. At my age, my mother had so many health issues. I don't. I'm not saying I may never have them, but my life and lifestyle is very different. I'm not blaming her. She did her best with all she knew, right? But the genes are very strong, so I should have had it. It's not just her, it's like many people in that family. So, and that's yoga and Ayurveda, So it's at a larger level. Neuroplasticity, to me, the way I learned it in yoga is not being stuck in this limited idea that I am just this person. Because as you know, growing up in an Indian culture, if you're not a doctor, lawyer, engineer, you're nobody.
Yes.
So for me to even step into this work after having 3 degrees was a big, and the way of the world, it was a risk. But internally, because of the yoga practice, I knew this is just what I have to do. There's no doubt as that in that state, right? So, and good stuff has come from it. Has it been challenging? Absolutely. Has it been rewarding? Way beyond I could have imagined.
That's amazing. Coming back to meditation. Now let's talk about meditation because it's different from yoga, right? Yoga can still have, or does it go hand in hand? You have to meditate while you're doing yoga. But you can also meditate without doing yoga or doing an asana, right? You can just sit and meditate anywhere.
So if we look at yoga as a limited definition of asana, then of course, then it wouldn't fit. But like I said, there are different schools, philosophy in that as well. It's like, it's an intention to meet people where they are. So there are in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, that kind of, lineage. There's the yam niyam. So there's the observances and the restraints that you apply. What in today's day and age, for example, they would call having boundaries, cleanliness, detoxing, all of these things that they're like common words, right? But you first have to take care of that, like that business, yam niyam, okay? Then only you are qualified to start doing asana. That does not happen today, but this is how it is structured for a reason. Then only when you do asana and you are able to take off all the kinks and the restlessness in your body, then you sit and do pranayam so that you can expand the life force within you. When you are able to do pranayam, you are able to calm the nervous system down, and then you are able to start doing dharana, concentration. Only when you're able to concentrate, then can you do meditation.
Okay.
Dhyana.
I'm confused already. Okay, so meditation, I thought pranayama was like meditation.
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
Meditation is called dhyana and pranayam is called pranayam. Totally different,
Okay.
right? The textbook definition of meditation according to yoga is holding a single thought for 12 seconds is meditation. If you can't do that, you're not meditating. I have never meditated in my life, even though I say I meditate every morning. So it's all
12
very
seconds.
mathematical actually,
So you have
the
to hold any
calculation.
thought for 12 seconds.
Yeah. But
And
you
it
can't
doesn't
have
have to
the
be an
thought that you
absence.
are holding a thought.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be an absence of thought. No, it could just be anything, but you have to hold it. And that's meditation. So let's say
12
for somebody
seconds.
like me,
Mm.
yeah. So what would you advise for somebody like me? Like, how can I start getting into meditation and pranayama? Let's leave the
Mm.
asanas alone because
Yeah,
that gets a bit complicated. But
correct.
just the basic, what
Yeah.
can I do?
So, Prerna, like the first question to ask is like why you want to do it, right? Just like if you're prescribing something to a person, you may want to give
What's
them a
the
certain
indication?
prescription, but you will ask for what are the symptoms, right?
Right.
So what is the why is very important. It would be really easy for me to give you a technique. And I think most people would do that. But I really want to say things as they are, right? Because if you are listening, if whoever's listening to this, I don't want them to think it's complicated, but it is nuanced. And wrong techniques can cause physiological harm as well. So it's like, okay, do you want to concentrate more? Because then I can show you a breathing practice that helps you concentrate and focus better. Do you want to relax more? I can teach you a technique that is that, right? So just like
Okay.
you would give a prescription, you won't give everybody with the same disease the same prescription, right? Like you'll do a case history, and it's the
Uh-huh.
same thing in this field of work. If you're going to anybody worth their salt, they should be doing a case history and checking with you and then giving you a
Asking you to
practice
one. Yeah.
and then titrating the practice as well.
Okay. So it's for relaxation, let's say.
Yeah. So, well, the easiest and the best thing to do would be first to do a little bit of thing like Surya Namaskar or sun salutations just to get the restlessness out of the body. Unless if you're wired. If you're extremely tired, you can skip that. You would do a body scan. So, what we would call in neuroscience autogenic training, you would start feeling your toes and feeling my ankles and feeling my calves. You just go through scanning your body and just noticing the biofeedback that you sense in the body. And then there are two things you could do. So, for example, right now, because you're pregnant, I would say, do coherence breathing. So 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. If you could also do, if you want to relax faster, you do 3 seconds in and 6 seconds out. So that activates the vagal faster, right? So these are some simple practices that you can do. Just always, anyone who's listening, remember, if you want to relax, you double the ratio. So if inhalation is 2 seconds, exhalation becomes 4 seconds. Longer exhalations relax the system.
Okay.
So very
And
simple.
people can do it anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Anybody,
Like it doesn't have to be a
anywhere.
day or a place you sit at or nothing. You can just do these breathing techniques
You can
anywhere.
do it. Absolutely. Just don't do it while driving.
Of course, yeah. Or operating heavy machinery.
Yes.
But okay, got it. And this could work as a prophylactic thing, meaning knowing how to do it to help you relax or be relaxed more and also in the moment, right? Like if somebody is
Absolutely.
stressed right this moment, they can do that.
Yes, yes.
Relax it. Do you know
The
how
effects
long
are
it takes to
better if you
relax?
have practiced.
Okay, so
Yeah.
of course, so if you practice, then you get more used to it and you can do that in like an extreme
Yeah, it
situation.
becomes autopilot then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
How long should somebody do that?
Mhm.
Or just until the effect, until you feel better?
Correct. You said it right. Yeah. Because
Okay.
for we don't know the level of cortisol. We don't know the level of sympathetic activation.
Mhm.
So how can I say for how long to do it, right?
Right.
So you will feel, because generally you close your eyes and you do it, you will start to feel the relaxation in your system. So you just continue to do it till you can actually sense that.
So we talked about the breathing exercises for somebody who's a beginner. What about yoga asanas for somebody who's a beginner? I know you can't obviously show us here, but anything that people could go to look at and do, a healthy person, not somebody who has a certain kind of disorder, like,
Yeah,
could
yeah,
be anything, thyroid or any medical issue. I think that's very nuanced. Again, as you said,
absolutely.
people don't know this, but there's different yogas for different kinds of, like, some things people should avoid, So
Yeah,
it's, let's say somebody's
absolutely.
healthy and has no issues. What kind of asana should they be looking up to do something basic?
Yeah, so if you look at absolutely basic functional stuff that will kind of keep your joints lubricated and your muscles kind of relaxed and supple, um, and it's very easy for anyone at any age to do, irrespective of their size or their health condition, unless, of course, like they have a physical inhibition. It would be a series called Pavan Mukta Asana series, and you can look at it, and maybe you could put it in the show notes, and we could link to videos on YouTube, I'm sure, with people
Mhm.
sharing those asanas. So it's called, in English, it's called the joint freeing techniques, because our joints, you have those clicking sounds and this
Yeah, yeah.
popping, and so that's because of too much air element in the system. So this series is very good for your nervous system as well, and for joint lubrication and mobility, and for all ages. Very easy to do. You don't need anything complicated.
And you can do your breathing exercises while doing it.
Yes, it always must be done, because see, it's like your body is the car and the breath is the fuel.
Mhm.
So you ride, so like a rule of thumb is anything you want to extend or expand, you inhale, right?
Mhm.
So for example, if you're leaning back to do, say, fish pose or camel pose, you'll you'll do that because then you increase the surface area for breathing. So
Mhm.
inhalations are for expansions and exhalations are for relaxations. So anything where you contract your body, you exhale, because that's a natural cadence of the body. So you ride the wave of the breath in the movement so that you consume less energy and get more benefit.
You said something about the Surya Namaskar before. Now I know what it is, but could you explain a
Yes.
little bit for our audience?
Yeah.
Because
So
every time I ask people, or I ask my aunt is a yoga teacher back home. Every time I would ask her, what should I do? She would always say, the first thing she would say was Surya Namaskar. And if you could just, tell our
absolutely.
audience a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So translated, it means sun salutations, but the deeper meaning, so every asana has a physical practice, a breath practice, a meditative practice, and then a transcendence practice. So Surya Namaskar is a series of six asanas or poses that are repeated twice on one side of the body and then on the other, that will kind of stretch out your whole body. So it's a great functional practice to do every day. It's meant to be done early in the morning, outdoors if possible, to get your vitamin D. The yogis knew this long ago.
Yeah.
And it combines both strength and flexibility. So it's super good on the physical level for all of these different reasons. And then there are deeper reasons if you're doing it correctly. Like if you hold for a certain time, for example, you stimulate certain endocrine glands. So at a basic level, but it's just a practice that it's like your go-to practice, you just do it because it's easy, it's repetitive, you don't have to think, and
Mhm.
you get a lot of benefit in a short time. So it's like that.
Yeah.
Just do it.
And then what about the benefits of that? So of course there's the physical benefits, the flexibility and stretching out your muscles, joints and stuff like that. And you still do your breathing techniques with that, right?
Always,
You
always.
don't. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
what time are we not breathing? We are always breathing.
right.
So
Yeah.
it's
But
just
like it's Mhm.
harnessing the breath. You inhale and it depends on which asana you're doing, but you inhale and you go back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, right leg back. Retain the breath, both legs. So it's very systematic so that you keep the rhythm of the breath. So you're actually kind of doing coherence breathing.
Yeah.
while you're
So,
doing the asana.
right. And so the inhalation and exhalation is also, it goes hand in hand with certain body postures too, which is
Absolutely.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you think about the more popular, like, for example, if I go to a yoga studio around me, the things that I remember from, you know, looking at yoga and doing yoga growing up, which was very minimal experience. I haven't done it in many, probably decades now, but how is what we're practicing today in the modern world different from our cultural roots of yoga and meditation?
Hmm.
Or is it any different?
So I actually just do my own practice, and I go to the ashram in the Bahamas sometimes to do practice there or to teach. I can honestly say I don't step into yoga studios because it does
Yeah,
not
so
feel
you
like
must
yoga to
not know.
me.
What about hot yoga? Do we have?
Um, this was a bone of contention for me for many years, and therefore a portal to more self discovery and acceptance, and all of that. But I don't have anything to say because if I've not practiced something and I don't know, then I don't want to say.
Yeah,
But it's better than doing nothing at all.
yeah.
Um, but would I call it yoga? No. I actually teach for Yoga Alliance, which is a certifying board of yoga teachers worldwide. And the reason that they invite me to teach is because they're trying to bring back the original roots of yoga to the practice, at least in the West. Um, and so from in those spaces, I shared this kind of authentic stuff that we're talking about here. But yoga is a $1 billion industry growing year on year. That money is not going to the origin country of yoga. And I want to say something here, Prerna, because people don't think about this. India could have patented yoga. Why not? We still can, right? Everybody
Right.
knows it's from India. Why do we not? We could make royalties on the $1 billion. Why don't we? We have to ask, right? We're not just a stupid country. Everybody knows we have brilliant minds.
Yeah.
So why didn't this occur to us? It's a great business opportunity. Why
Mm,
aren't we doing it?
mm,
And it's because of what I said right at the beginning of the podcast. The yogis only tapped into universal laws of energy, the primacy of consciousness, and shared something that they know does not belong to anybody. So that is the depth of respect and reverence that the culture or the Indian subcontinent has for these practices, that the access to this kind of highest education, who am I really, and how do I maintain this body, mind, spirit so that I can live my fullest. That is the highest level of education, and nobody should be denied that because they don't have money, because they can't do something that's patented or whatever it is. That's why India does not patent turmeric and basmati rice and a million other things, methi pots, and I mean everything.
yeah.
Ashwagandha, you can just go on
Yeah.
and on
I wonder
because
if
it's
I
a
can patent it
humility.
now. Wondering.
Sorry?
I wonder if I can patent it. Just change the name and then maybe use the same
Yeah,
thing.
some people are doing that.
So let's talk about who would benefit the most from yoga. Like, is there a subset of population who should do it more than the others? And we talked about the go-to asanas as the basic asanas or meditation or breathing exercises to start with. What is the best way to really get the momentum going and incorporate it into our daily lives? Like how to make it a habit to do something daily.
Yeah. My best sort of guidance is do it in the morning, like before anything else. So, like, I wake up, I take a cold shower, and then I sit to meditate. And I don't do anything else till I do that. So, I make time for that. So, if that's hard in the beginning, what I say to clients is say you wake up at 6 o'clock usually, and then you already have your routine. You're like, where am I going to put this in? For the first week, set your alarm back to wake up like at 10 minutes to 6. And then the second week, set it back 10 minutes more. So the stress on your body is gradual, and you sort of adapt to waking up now eventually at 5:30. Then you have enough time to do your meditation, do a little bit of Surya Namaskar, and then go on with whatever else you have to do for your day. So it's
So 15 to 20.
incremental.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I mean, just incremental kind of changes are sustainable. Like this whole like I'm gonna do so 108 sun salutations tomorrow. Not gonna work. You do it for 2 days and then you'll crash out. So yeah.
So 15 to 20 minutes a day is okay.
Yeah.
Or
You
start
start-
with even 10 and then go up as you can.
Yeah. Start with breathing practice. Don't do meditation. It's not gonna work. So start with breathing practices, do some Surya Namaskar, some sun salutations. That's a really good place to start. Go to just before you go to bed, do some, left nostril breathing or long, these breaths, 3 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Do a body scan or do a yoga nidra. I can send you a link that you can link to for yoga nidra. It's a beautiful, beautiful practice to relax the whole system, prepare you for sleep, improve the quality of your sleep, all of those things. So very simple, small things. Focus on your breathing while you're driving instead of thinking like I want to drink a coffee and drive and check my texts at the same time. You're distracting and fragmenting your attention and mind. That's adding to your stress. So dharana, concentration, is what they are calling in the modern world monotasking. It's all been there. Just the neuroscientists are giving it a name, so it's getting some validity now because, yoga is too old for it to be valid. So,
Yes. Or to be exciting.
yeah.
Any risks or complications of yoga or anybody who should be avoiding it?
Definitely there are many things that can be done wrong and go wrong. So I would always say, please work with a practitioner you can trust. It's an unregulated industry. There's, you have to be ultra careful because, you go to a doctor and they are board certified or, whatever it is. And yoga teachers are also board certified, but there's no checks in place. People are coming from the right intention, but it doesn't mean that it's going to only benefit you. It can harm you. So if you really want to go down the path, I would say work with somebody you can trust, who doesn't just have qualifications, but actually lives the practice, because you can feel when somebody lives something.
What about children? What about kids? You think we should teach them breathing exercises?
Yeah, absolutely. So yoga has something called Garbha Sanskar, which is practices that you do even pre-conception, because as and now medical science proves it too, like traumatic experiences during pregnancy affect the child. So yoga knew this, obviously, more than 5,000 years ago.
Yeah. Well, so it's good for kids.
Absolutely.
I hope my baby's hearing it right now. You learned a lot. Very insightful conversation. He's going to come out doing some asanas. And we talked about like going to a professional who knows like what kind of asanas and what things to avoid if you have certain, pre-existing conditions, comorbidities, blood pressure, whatever that should be, what you should do and shouldn't do. That's important. Okay. All right, Mirabelle, this was such a great conversation. I learned so much today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, all right, to everyone out there, I will put a link to everything we talked about, the asanas, and some tips and tricks, and some maybe YouTube links for asanas as well. If you like the show today, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay curious. Thank you.